Hello, and welcome to Tom Myers versus the rest of the world. A lot's been happening this week. According to Bob Woodward's new book, War, Donald Trump said COVID testing kits to Russian President Vladimir Putin in the opening days of the pandemic. I don't know what's sadder, that people who could have used those tests possibly died from the effects of the virus, or that they got to miss out on Putin following through with his blackmail and releasing the Trump hooker urination tape. With less than a month before the election, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp has said that supporting Donald Trump is basically what he calls a business decision. Supporting Donald Trump sounds like a business decision, much in the same way that some people would consider dunking their balls in their boss's coffee.
Jesus.
At a rally in Pennsylvania this week, Trump ended his town hall with a song called Time to Say Goodbye, which is fitting, as that is what his brain has been telling his body for years now. Maryland Senate candidates Angela Alsobrooks and Larry Hogan held their debate this past week. This holds some special significance for most of this panel. The debate was moderated by Chuck Todd. He had three other moderators who were there to make sure he didn't sneak off into a studio, build his own Meet the Press set, and hold up there with firearms. At this point in his career, having Chuck Todd moderate a Senate debate after having him step down as the host of a Sunday talk show on a Big Three network is a bit like putting a horse in a children's petting zoo before they take it out back to have it put down. During Hurricane Milton, a 54-year-old man rode out the storm on a makeshift boat, which he also did during Florida's previous storm, Hurricane Helene. He live-streamed the event, during which he dropped a racial slur. Despite the risks involved, he managed to survive both hurricanes. Unfortunately. Starbucks announced that it's rolling back its discounts and promotions. As someone who has shopped at and paid for Starbucks for years, my question is, what discounts?
Yeah.
And now, on with the show. Please join me in welcoming Jeff Hysen, Gina Brown, and David Kaye.
Hey, Tom.
Hello.
Everyone, welcome to the show. What's everyone been up to this week?
Well, one thing I know is that I'm not standing there swaying to someone else's music, someone who's not authorized me to use their music for 40 minutes. I'm not doing that.
I'm with
Right
you, Jeff.
off the get-go. Right off the get-go, Jeff is like right in it.
He's in it. He's in it.
I missed 2 weeks. I'm ready.
I just can't. I mean, I remember just thinking, are the Village People alive enough to tell him not to use his music?
Like, as a comic, you should know, like, you save that for the beginning. Like, that's what really amps the crowd up.
But the way the music got started was because people fainted at the rally, and they're like passed out. And then he's like, screw the questions. Just cue the music. Could you imagine you just passed out at the rally and you're awakened, you come to and they're smacking your face and giving you water, and there's Trump like leering over you, like swaying back and forth to Ave Maria.
How asleep do you have to be before, like, you have to be like woken up and excited by Andrea Bocelli?
Hey, I love Andrea Bocelli, and now I want him to talk to Trump. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed.
But have you ever headbanged to the guy, Gina? That's what I want to know.
There
you go.
I would say I have not. No.
You said head banged, right?
I mean, right. He didn't say head. Right. Specifically headbang. Yeah.
40 minutes. 40 minutes, Jeff.
Yeah.
Could you imagine going up on a comedy stage and saying, start doing your act, and then say, you know what? I've been up here for 7 minutes. I think I'm going to take the next 39. Just listen to music.
Yeah.
I mean, how crazy has it become?
And then Rufus Wainwright is a ardent Kamala supporter, and he was distressed because they used his version of Hallelujah, the Leonard Cohen classic, and Rufus Wainwright said, "Why don't they just use Jeff Buckley's song version? He's dead. He can't be upset about it."
Unless Jeff Buckley just comes up and just drags Trump and just drags him beneath into the pits of the afterlife.
Yeah,
It's like that 90s smoking ad that scared the shit out of everybody.
There you go.
With the same Republican candidate for president as 4 years ago, there is the risk of a repeat performance of the denial of a post-election loss, as we saw from Donald Trump in 2020. While the issue of Kamala Harris not doing interviews when she has in fact done interviews while Trump has avoided them at the forefront of the mainstream media landscape, it's the duty of this podcast to once again shun the media narrative and focus on the biggest risk underlying the voting taking place now and culminating in the last day of voting on November 5th. As is the case with Trump, his most loyal supporters will continue to deny any defeat of their preferred candidate, as we can see in this clip of a baffled Trump supporter confronted with the legitimate result of the 2020 election.
If he were to lose again, what would that mean for the country in your opinion?
You mean if President Trump was to lose for the first time? He's never lost a presidential election. Yeah, he had a historic turnout. 81 million people have never turned out for a presidential election. You know were you up on election day? Were you up when they stopped counting, which has never happened before, until they calculated how many fake votes that were trucked in the middle of the night when they were pounding plywood over the counter windows that are mandated that you have observers, and they pounded plywood so the count couldn't be observed? But Trump still got the most votes of all time. That vegetable that was installed in the White House to be Barack Obama's third term can't fill a parking. Look at these people. That vegetable can't fill a Walmart parking lot.
Just going back to that question, if it turns out that he doesn't win this election, what would it mean for the country and for you?
We're taking faith lessons from Russia right now. Right now, I personally homeschooled my kids all the way through. Probably shows. But we're taking faith lessons from Russia right now. Don't tell kids that have always been born male and female, will always be born male and female, can only interact biologically as male and female. Don't tell them there's 61 genders. Don't tell them to cut anything off and stitch any dead meat back onto their skin and it's going to make them a male. Here's your dead meat, it makes you a male. That's garbage. And Russia knows that? You're out of your stinking mind that Russia knows that. In my lifetime, I'm under 60 barely. That I know that Russia knows that. You can't groom kids. You can't have kids online connected with a mentor that's going to tell them how normal it is to get naked in front of people. We have groomers in the schools. There's case after case after criminal case. I'm not making this up. Every day, there's some kind of Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence arrested for kiddie porn every day. Why are they doing lap dances? Dressed as women, making fun of women, demeaning women, pretending to be women. And why am I on the way to being legally required to call that sick freak ma'am? I'll never do it. I'm happy to eat your stinking prison food because I'm never going to call a dude in a dress ma'am. And our kids shouldn't be taught that crap.
I was talking about the presidential election. I'm just trying to get the answer on that. But where do you see that mandate coming from?
Where's that that mandate is coming from Satan, right? I don't know. Do you have any spiritual? It doesn't matter really if you do, right?
Doesn't matter. I'm just a guy with a mic right now.
That mandate's coming from Satan. Satan is the author of confusion. Satan is the author of death, right? So it's a death cult.
How does the presidential election bear upon what you just talked to me about?
I used to think it was right and left. I honestly don't care. If you want a little more taxes taken out, to have a little bit bigger safety net, that's not at issue right now. At issue is holiness and evil, right?
Oh my God.
You think she changes the subject a lot when she's talking with her friends?
Man.
The reporter deserves a Pulitzer Prize for sticking with his question.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch some of the reporters on any network, any channel, and they're easily distracted. And that's exactly what some candidates for office want. They want you to follow them, as Gina said, down the path that they want. But this reporter, well, the question was about the election and the legitimacy of the election. He could have asked her, so if he never lost, then how is he running for a third term?
Well, he could have asked her a lot of things, particularly around Satan. She was wearing a shirt with his face like on it, like doing a weird expression. And but you can't. I don't know how you would reach them because she's worshiping Satan right now. So I don't know.
I can't imagine what it must have been like to be homeschooled by that psychopath. Can you imagine what a social studies class would be like with her? Just trying to get through math. Just trying to get through just one English sentence without having Satan and the Lord brought into the. You know, it's just crazy. How this woman's mind was just she was just everywhere. She was just there was no rhyme nor reason as to where she was going. That's near psychopath. That's really what she was.
Where her children, when they apply for a job, do they mention my mother is that crazy person you saw on the internet?
Right.
I was educated at gunpoint, I think is going to come up in
at Trump University.
I have to give you a kudos for finding that gem of a clip.
I know.
Tom's research staff is on point.
And we watch so much of it.
With January 6 cases still making their way through the legal system, and with the threat of another such coup attempt should Trump not be successful in his effort to regain the presidency, we can look for more personal stories of his supporters' lives being disrupted, as is showcased in this CNN report.
How do you feel when you watch this?
You know, I think I'm more numb when I look at this stuff. It's like surreal to me. I mean, look how angry I look.
You'd admit this is a bad look.
Totally.
Yeah.
You know how dumb I feel when I look at this picture? Like, oh my goodness.
Rachel Powell, also known as the Pink Hat Lady, is about to begin a 5-year prison sentence for her role in the January 6 attack on the US Capitol. She's a mom of 8 and grandmother of 6, and she spent most of the last 3 years under home detention in rural Pennsylvania.
Is this what you expected from an insurrectionist, a terrorist? How'd I have time to plan an insurrection when my life is busy like this? Making pie, raising babies.
She's due to spend the next few years behind bars, but she believes one man could change that.
So this hat says, Rachel, we love you. Trump. 3 of my sons, they met Trump, and you can actually see them one of the times here. Trump was very encouraging to them. He's made it clear he's going to pardon us.
There's a lot riding on this election.
Totally.
For the country, but also personally for you.
Oh man, for me it's huge. For me it's like life or death. It's huge.
If Trump wins, you could get out of prison.
Correct, I will get out of prison.
Okay, that lady scares me simply for the reason that she seems like if she were motivated enough, she could have broken the window of the Capitol with that rolling pin she was using to make the pies.
They said, I love that they're like, she spent the last several years in this house. I was like, on her back. She has like 6 kids and 8 grandbabies or something. That's what she spent the last of all of her years, literally on her back.
I'm looking at her Wikipedia page. Other names, it's as they said one, Pink Hat Lady, Bullhorn Lady. How many children does she have? 8?
8.
6 grandchildren. She's 44.
Right, this is what I'm saying. She spends all of her adult life on her back. Like she has, I don't know how she's like, how do I have time to start an insurrection? How do you have time to make pie? Like, I don't understand.
What I thought was interesting, and see, tell me if you agree, David, when the story started and she's saying, boy, I look so angry. I thought it was a redemption story.
Absolutely. I absolutely thought that she was going to say, and if only I could take that moment back. But no, she laid hard into it, saying that if Trump, when Trump becomes president, I won't have to worry about my jail sentence. How crazy. Another psychotic. And the fact that her whole house looked like the interior of a Cracker Barrel. My God.
Does she know the other lady? You think they're on a text?
Sure. I'm sure they're Facebook friends. Or 8chan friends.
They talk to each other on Rumble. They live stream with each other.
Oh my God. I can't believe that she's like thinking, I just have to make sure that Donald Trump gets in. Then imagine all the insurrectionists if they get out. If those crazed bastards and bitches get out, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
What's going to happen to our democracy?
Well, I mean, it's the only way they get out is if he gets in, and him getting in is the end of the democracy.
Well, that's why I say vote.
Right.
Vote.
Yeah.
I'd love to see CNN follow up with that woman, like while she's serving her prison sentence. I'm like,
right.
I'm a mother of 8, I'm a grandmother of 6, and I can't believe I'm getting into fights in the prison shower. How do I have time for all that stuff?
And now I have a girlfriend. Right.
I'm sure she's going to have a great recipe for toilet bowl hooch.
If the security camera footage presented by the House January 6th committee wasn't damaging enough, it doesn't hold a candle to actual footage shot by those who infiltrated the Capitol that day. Recently released cell phone footage of Trump supporters confronting members of Congress made the rounds and showcased how tense exchanges were between protesters and lawmakers, such as Texas Congressman Trey Nels, as is demonstrated here.
Okay, we're tired of standing around. Your Constitution said you're supposed to protect the Constitution. You're a traitor. No, if you go against the yes. I'm not trying to start a fight. I'm trying to reason. Hey, man, these guys cost my family $400,000. Okay? They need to address this problem. That's just gas. Are you kidding me? We're real American citizens who are sick of this. And we're making it knowing that we're sick of it. Okay? 30 years. Would you? Huh?
And I've never had people like this.
Say again?
I've been in law enforcement in Texas for 30 years.
Talk a little louder. That's because you've never seen corruption like we have seen this last month.
I'm ashamed.
And I'm ashamed of my Congress people. They don't even stand up for it. They're giving away my grandchildren and your grandchildren's freedom.
What? You need to back up.
Freedom is at hand. Go find another door, everybody.
Do you understand we're fighting for you?
You ought to put the guns down. We're not going to do anything. That's dumb.
The Constitution.
Breathe.
Is there anybody in there?
Yeah.
Who's in there? Who's in the house? Can you see who's in there?
No, ma'am. I can't see who's in there.
Oh, look, a socialist. Are you getting paid by China? You're all getting paid by China.
Come on, you guys, man. You guys are not going to lose a paycheck if we come in the building, man. And nobody's going to get hurt.
But you can only kill so many of us.
How often has he heard people yelling stuff like that at him? That he, in that moment, he can just be like, yeah, and tell me something I haven't heard before.
I just have seen, unfortunately, other people that look different shot for less. And they're like, no one's going to get hurt. You broke the glass. Like, what do you mean? A, glass can hurt, but also that's just the beginning of what you did. Like, yeah, I don't know why they didn't get shot.
They said, well, we're not going to hurt you if we come in. It's like, I don't think they believe you.
You're hurting from the outside. Yeah. Anyway, thanks, Tom.
Yeah.
Really, this is a great.
Now, I hope to God the people that that took those videos have been arrested and are facing charges at this point. I can't imagine that they have not, that they would have gotten away. I would hope that they were charged, but I guess we don't know who they are.
The fact that they're
still finding people.
Yeah.
I saw
there's still thousands. There's thousands out there that have not been charged.
Well, this show is going to start one clip on a comedy podcast at a time. I aim to make that happen. I don't know. That was the best I could offer. That was the best. The show isn't about hope. What do you expect?
I know. No, you're right. It's reality. It's our reality, unfortunately. You're right.
With Donald Trump's promise to pardon the January 6th protesters in prison for their various crimes, it's no surprise that he went on to glorify their activities in other ways, such as having them record their own rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner, our national anthem, to be played before rallies like this one in Georgia.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the horribly and unfairly treated January 6th hostages.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That buzzing noise at the end just sounded so ominous. Like, I was wondering if that was the electric chair turning on and getting ready to take them all one by one.
That was a really terrible audio tech is what that was. That was a really bad technician running the sound.
I love that. I love that everybody's so much in shock that David, the comedy club promoter, his first reaction is, "What horrible tech that was! I could do a much better job with that."
Is it patriotic to
Yes.
intercut the national anthem with the Star Spangled Banner, or is it because it doesn't seem to me to be patriotic to interrupt one for the other unless somehow they think it's twice as patriotic.
I know you're probably in shock, but I think you meant the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm still stunned by that. when they also they yelled "Still there" like it was "Oh" in Baltimore.
Right.
Why did they do that?
That offended me. That was.
Why did they yell "Still there"? What is that a thing?
No, they're not a thing, Jeff. Nothing that they did was a thing. That was like the worst, whitest attempt at singing and rapping in one that I have ever. It was horrible. None of that was a thing.
Who put the echo effect on Trump's voice? That's my question. That was terrible.
We're not making that anything. Tom, I'm not happy with you. This is just not this. I wanted to go out on a really good, solid evening,
Yeah.
and you didn't make that happen for me.
She's got Royal Farms chicken waiting, and you destroyed her mood. At least Jesse Waters we can make fun of.
The Royal Farms chicken is supposed to make you feel better, though. That's what it does to me.
You've given me something else to stick in my garlic aioli, and I really don't know.
Think about me. I have to edit this. I have to put together the videos. I have to find these clips. I have to edit the clips. I have to edit the podcast. You just have to listen to the shit once. And on that note, that's our show. I want to thank Jeff Hysen, Gina Brown, and David Kaye.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, my friend.
But before we go, my final thought. It's been a while since we've done these, as we haven't exactly been short of content, but for the purposes of this election, it's time to bring back our series. It is the 8th installment of Are You Better Off Now Than 4 Years Ago? Spoiler alert, the answer will be yes. 4 years ago this week, the United States had just reported a daily total of 69,000 new coronavirus cases in the United States alone, with this country surpassing 8 million cases up until that time. 4 years ago this month, Donald Trump had already left Walter Reed after battling his own bout with the virus and was planning to hold rallies in Michigan and Wisconsin, two of the biggest hotspots in the country, with an outbreak already having been tied to a Trump rally in Minnesota earlier in the week. 4 years ago this month also saw the United States passing 200,000 deaths due to the virus. These are numbers provided by the Centers for Disease Control and Johns Hopkins, and all occurred after then President Trump, back in March, had said the number of cases would go from 15 to 0, asterisk, with a small detour. 4 years ago this month, non-farm employment increased by 638,000 jobs in 1 month, bringing the unemployment rate down to 6.9%, which is an amazing feat considering our national policies managed to kill a sizable portion of the workforce. For a greater context, we are adding more jobs per month now, and our unemployment rate is now below 4%, according to numbers provided by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Gas prices range from $1.89 to $2.19 nationally for a gallon of regular unleaded, according to the website Gas Buddy. A seemingly better value than now, but keep in mind that at the time, less fuel was being consumed because nobody was going anywhere because, remember this? We were just going under lockdown for a contagious and severe respiratory virus. In short, are we better off today than we were 4 years ago? In case you need to be reminded, which some of you do, then the answer is yes. Good night. This episode was written and hosted by Tom Myers with panelists Jeff Hysen, Gina Brown, and David Kaye. Theme music composed and arranged by Jeroen Vandenhuren. Executive producers Tom Myers, Matt Connarton for ipmNation, and Eddie Carson for Odyssey Radio. Please leave a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple Podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/Tom Myers, for access to ad-free episodes, extended episodes, and bonus clips. Thank you for listening, and please visit tommyers.us.